All right, so let's talk about a game that is a little bit more interesting. It is San Francisco 49ers and the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Niners on the road at the Steelers as 2-point favorites in this one. 41.5. There are 41s out there. 41.5 is your total. Now, this is a different handicap today than it was yesterday because Nick Bosa ends up signing a massive extension and is going to be out on the field for the 49ers. A huge, huge deal that I think more people were for some reason talking about whether George Kittle was going to play or not. And I'm like, man, I don't care if Kittle plays or not. Like, what are you talking about? Like, the story is whether Bosa is going to play or not in this thing. Bosa is going to go. So that's kind of where I'm at with all of this. Adam, I want to get your thoughts here because Steven's a 49er homer. So we'll give him the,
I'm a fan. I'm not a homer.
We'll give him the second go at this. I am mildly intrigued by the Steelers this year. And if they weren't in the division of death, I think I would probably have had them as a playoff team. But the problem is they play 6 games against really good teams. And so I just can't quite get there. But I am very interested in what Kenny Pickett and this Steelers team can do. Certainly the defense is going to be fine. And I think there's enough playmakers there, so long as he doesn't stink, that this team could be pretty feisty. So you could take the 2 up to 8 in a home dog situation. I don't know if that's in your account or not.
Remember how I told you it was my second or third favorite teaser leg of the week with Washington? I love Pittsburgh plus 8 in this spot. I mean, love Pittsburgh plus 8 as a teaser leg. That'll be the anchor leg for me everywhere this week. And we can talk about it either as how I feel about the Pittsburgh defense against the San Francisco offense, or you can just talk about it system-wise and say, if you're just going to look at totals and where you want to play 6-point teasers, well, yeah, you're looking at a 41.5 total that you can get 8 points on one side on. That's something that you probably want to consider week in and week out, whether or not you ultimately decide to make the play. So I'm going to ask you guys a question, and this is more for Matt than it is for Steven, because I think I know where Steven's going to land on it, and I don't necessarily know where Matt's going to land on it. But are we sure Brock Purdy's good? Like, are we sure that Brock Purdy is a top level, this team is a Super Bowl contender quarterback?
No. And that has been screamed from a mountaintop by this guy over here, over and over and over again. That's why I have the Seahawks win in that division. It's why I have an under win total on the 49ers, which I liked because the win total dropped by a whole game after I got the under on that thing. Listen, it's the most important position in sports. And you have a dude that was not even supposed to basically even make the team, much less play several games last year. These defensive coordinators didn't have any tape on the guy. They had absolutely no scouting report on the guy because he was not supposed to be out there. And that is not going to be the case this year. They have studied this guy. They figured some things out. And if there are limitations, which you have to assume, because, he was a 7th rounder and all, that if there's limitations out there for Brock Purdy, they've got him figured out. And so you look at what this Pittsburgh defense can bring to the table here, good at all 3 levels. I think that they could struggle here. It wouldn't surprise me if Pittsburgh wins this thing outright, but if you want to give me 8 points, Adam, I'll take the 8 points.
I will be happy to take those 8 points. I'll give them to you. I will gift wrap them. I will deliver them to your front door before we get to Sunday morning. And look, this is not to discount the value of Kyle Shanahan. It is not to discount the value of all of the very, very talented skill position players that the San Francisco 49ers have. I'm not saying that I think San Francisco is going to show up and not win this game. I do think, however, that going on the road against this Pittsburgh defense with a healthy TJ Watt, with a healthy secondary, it's a tall ask for San Francisco in week 1 to go out there and win this game by more than 8 points.
Steven, look, Brock Purdy, we knew that they wanted to give him the job all along as it was. Anyway, they trade Trey Lance. He's gone. So it's going to be Purdy and Sam Darnold when it's all said and done here. Purdy coming off of the injury. They say he's fine, though not a ton of reps in the preseason or anything like that. Does that concern you at all as a 49ers fan?
In week 1, yeah, absolutely. As great as the ceiling has been for the Niners in recent years, coming close to beating Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl, coming close to beating the Rams in the NFC Championship game, and then having just the awful luck of losing Purdy in last year's title game against the Eagles. this team has started slow. They've started 3-4 in consecutive years. So am I concerned that Brock Purdy had kind of an abnormal amount of reps in training camp where he's taken 2 days on and 1 day off? Yeah, that concerns me. Am I concerned that Mike McGlinchey's gone at right tackle and they have Colton McKivitz in there who was not very good? He allowed a 7.5% pressure rate when he was lined up at left or right tackle. That would have ranked 62nd out of 67 qualified tackles a year ago. And now he might get TJ Watt every single snap in this game across from him. Yeah, that really concerns me. So I also bet the Steelers teaser leg here up to 8 or 8.5, depending on where you're looking. So I agree with that. Now, holistically on the Brock Purdy discussion, I will concede that negative regression is probably coming with his interceptions based on the turnover-worthy plays he had a year ago. Nevertheless, this is still an offense with, I think you both would agree, a large enough sample size at this point, especially with Jimmy Garoppolo almost beating Patrick Mahomes in a Super Bowl, that this is more about Kyle Shanahan than it is Brock Purdy. And not just Kyle Shanahan, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, Christian McCaffrey, in my opinion, the best assortment of weapons all around him, 4 deep in the NFL. So I'm not concerned long term, but in this particular situation with how crisp the Steelers offense looked as well, it looks like, at this point, I'd be surprised if Kenny Pickett doesn't take a year 2 leap. I feel queasy about the 49ers in week 1.
Yeah, listen, this offensive line, I think, is pretty interesting for the 49ers, right? I mean, Trent Williams is obviously the best left tackle in the game, but he is a year older in all of that. And then secondly, outside of him, it's just a bunch of middling to lower half dudes, right? And so if it wasn't for him, I think we would be like, oh my God, this is going to be really bad for Brock Purdy this year. But if your blind side is protected by the best left tackle in all the game, then it changes a whole lot. But I don't know if it's going to be easy sledding, running the ball and all that like it has been in the last couple of years. I'm really not on board with all that. And I think then that puts a lot more pressure on Brock Purdy. And if that's the case, I don't think he's going to be that great. I just don't. And he can prove me wrong. And I will come on here and I will be the first to say that I completely whiffed on this one. But Adam, I mean, listen, if I don't think they're going to be able to utilize the run game as effectively as they had in the last few years, and the pressure is going to be put on the right arm of Purdy, and as you mentioned, Watt, Highsmith, all these guys that the Steelers have that can really cause havoc and stuff, like this game could be really, really interesting.
Or, I mean, I don't know why you would take the 2 points as opposed to just playing the money line, but if you are thinking about playing Pittsburgh outright in this game, keep an eye on the injury report. Cam Hayward is on the injury report right now for Pittsburgh, and that is an enormous difference in the middle of that Pittsburgh line. But the point overall is that if you were going to put Brock Purdy in a situation to question, is he really going to be good? Is he back? You've now given Mike Tomlin and Pittsburgh an entire offseason to get ready for this one game against the San Francisco 49ers. That's a tough spot to ask a quarterback 6 months off elbow surgery who has less than half a season of sample build up to be the reason that you win this game. Again, by more than 8 points. Right. If San Francisco comes out of this game winning 24-17, I won't be shocked at all, but I'll be cashing a teaser.
Yeah, absolutely true.